Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Wilson, and you're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. Unfortunately, Chris Hemke wasn't able to join me down in the studio today. He's tied up trying to help out customers over there at Duramax Tuner and Calibrated Power. But that's okay, because I think we have enough show personality on today's episode. We have LT from the Truck Tech Show. How the hell are you?
Hey, doing very good, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to have you on the show. To be honest with you, I didn't know a ton about your guys' show until just earlier this week when we started talking about another project. But as soon as we hung up the phone, I have obsessively watched just about everything you guys have available online.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it just a little bit.
Absolutely, man. I was blown away. I can't believe that I've gone this long without knowing that you guys have over 5 seasons or 5 seasons of shows already produced and available.
Well, yeah, and, the show actually has gone on, much, much longer than that. I think they just have up there on the website the last 5 seasons that we filmed in HD. But our show, I'm just one of the many hosts that have gone back, I think 10 years now.
Oh my God!
For our show, so I'm just the guy that's lucky enough to be in the hot seat right now.
How long have you been in the hot seat?
About 3.5 years I've had this job.
Okay. Well, you've really taken it by the horns over that time, because you guys have done some really cool projects just recently. Before we dive too far into that, though, I was hoping you could tell our listeners just a little bit about how you got your start in diesel performance.
Well, yeah, I've kind of always been a truck guy. It kind of goes way back to when I was a kid in high school, hanging out with my friends, trying to figure out what to work on. I actually grew up in the Northeast in the state of Maine. And if you live up there, vehicles rust out. Everybody wants a Camaro or a Mustang, but up there, for a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, I actually bought my first truck when I was 12 years old. For a young kid like that, you can't afford a Camaro because, all the good ones are incredibly expensive. So the next best thing was pickup trucks. So the first vehicle I bought, 76 C10. So I've always kind of had a thing for pickup trucks. I've had Mustangs, I've had cars, but mostly trucks. So to answer your question, how did I get started in diesel stuff? I've always liked going fast. But after high school, I moved out west. I lived in Idaho for a little while. And I went to school out there. And after I got done with school, I decided, I got a business degree, but instead of doing the corporate route, I wanted to pursue high performance. And so I was lucky enough to get a job at a speed shop in Idaho. If you know anything about Idaho, you'll know that it's farming country. And in farming country, what do you have but diesel pickups? So, the shop I worked at, we did a little bit of everything. We did, some of the import stuff, STIs and EVOs. We did a lot of muscle cars and, of course, a lot of trucks and, diesel. So really it's just something that I've kind of, the more I've learned about it, the more I've gained interest in it, I guess. Just the fact that you can take an engine, and get so much more for so little, talking about taking a stock truck and putting a tuner on and getting another 100, 150 horsepower. There's no other vehicle you can do that with. So that's really, I guess, in a nutshell, how I kind of got started into what I'm doing now and how I kind of grew to love diesel performance.
Yeah, that's really interesting about just kind of, I guess we got a lot of guys who come over from the semi world and a lot of guys who come over from agricultural equipment world. But the gas truck world usually leads guys down a different route, right? Like a lot of gas truck guys get into just gas trucks. They want to go after the lifts and they want to go after that. It's always interesting for me to hear a backstory that went from gas trucks and trucks to just all of a sudden being exposed to diesel performance. And like you said, there's so much bang for your buck on the performance side of it. It's hard not to get sucked in. Once you see that, once you know that exists, it's hard not to want to know more about the industry, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, for me, the other thing that's so cool about it is, two things. Number one, the trucks are so multi-purpose. Say you get yourself a C5 Corvette or a McLaren or any one of these cool, call them exotic cars that are quick, a Hellcat, a Camaro, ZR1, whatever it is. You can make those vehicles fast, but it's sort of a single-use vehicle. You can drive it, you can commute in it, and you can race in it. And they're fast. Don't get me wrong. I like all those vehicles, but for me, it's like if you had to pick one vehicle to live or to drive the rest of your life, and I'm a car guy, I build stuff, so I need a vehicle that has some utility as well. Whether you need to haul a trailer, or you need to put the kids in the back seat, or you've got to something you can also have fun with, and that's another reason why diesel appeals to me. And the other thing is just the absurdity of it all. Because if you think about it, what we do is kind of stupid. Because if you want to go fast, the last thing you want to do is start with a big, heavy vehicle. But that being said, that's one of the reasons why, to me, it's like it's cool because it's absurd. Where you take a 7,500 or an 8,500 pound truck, and you do all the stuff to it, and hey, you can still make it reasonably quick. I mean, look at some of the top tier guys in pro street diesel racing right now. We're tracking into the 7-second zone.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more horsepower to do that, but to me, that's why it's cool. Take something that doesn't make sense. It's not aerodynamic. It's not lightweight. Just throw a whole bunch of power at it, though, and shoot, that's why. I don't know. To me, that's why it's cool.
No, I'm with you, man. The versatility, I think, is a big one, right? Where it's like you said, like I can hook up a trailer and I can go drag race and I can drive to work every day. And there's all these benefits in each one of those categories of why diesel is better. So like as you start to go into it, it's just you see that value more and more and more. And the absurdity factor is definitely there. Because like you said, the guys NHRDA, I mean, 1,500 horsepower to run, in the 8s, or, 1,800 horsepower to the wheels to run in the 8s. Gas guys probably aren't used to that ratio.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like all kinds of racing, and trucks specifically. The LS world right now is, oh my goodness, the LS world has exploded in terms of what you can do with a stock bottom end, a factory block, or guys who step it up to, like, say, an LSX block. 105 millimeter turbos on a 370 cubic inch engine. Those guys are making, in some cases, diesel levels of boost. And they're taking a truck, and they're doing a lot of amazing stuff with it too. So, any kind of vehicle that goes fast, I'm all into, but just, I don't care if it's gas or diesel, anything you can take that doesn't make sense and still have fun with it, I remember back in, 03 or 4 or 5 when, this guy, Parrish, I think, had this single cab short box blue truck, and he twin turboed it and stuck a, 6-liter in it, and he just built it up from there. He was probably one of the pioneers of gas truck, or LS truck performance, I should say, and, to see a pickup truck taking down a Corvette or a street bike or what have you, I mean, what's not to like?
I love that. Well, cool, man. Well, I definitely, I like to hear about all of kind of your history in diesel and really getting into it. And you can tell that, you're somebody who really likes it. I know when I was talking to the guys over there at the show, they were like, yeah, every time we talk about a project, LT wants to throw a diesel in it. But they only let you once in a while. So give us kind of an overview of what the Truck Tech show is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I kind of sound like a broken record after a while because, I do enjoy diesel stuff, and it's almost kind of a gag now. It's like if something comes up, it's like, all right, LP's going to want to put a diesel in it, which, it's partially true. But, yeah, the show, so Truck Tech, we're a how-to based automotive show. My company actually does 4 shows. We have a muscle car show. We have one for Jeeps and off-road stuff. We have a show called Engine Power. They focus on machining and hard parts and engine assembly. And then our show is called Truck Tech. Again, it's all how-to. It's all technical. And so what we do throughout the course of the season is we'll take 3 or 4, 5 different trucks, and we show guys a bunch of different stuff. And these projects range from frame-off restorations, where we're doing bodywork and rust repair, to electrical stuff, engine performance, whether it's gas or diesel. We get into suspension and fabrication. We try to touch on all aspects, and between my co-host Jeremy and I, we have a pretty well-rounded skill set. He does a lot of paint and body work, incredibly talented in that area. He does interior stuff. He can sew upholstery. body work, metal work, and then I try to focus my sort of skill set on the mechanical side of things, high performance, fabrication. So basically, throughout the course of the show, it's kind of a call it problem and solution sort of scenario. You've got a vehicle you want to make it go faster. Here are some of the problems that you're going to encounter. Here are some of the products that you can use. Here are some of the things that you can do to make your truck go faster, or whatever the project is that we're doing for the day. We'll show guys how to lay down paint. We'll show guys how to block sand. We'll show guys how to fabricate and weld. And we try to have a good range of content on the show that we can, anybody can sit down and watch, whether you're a complete amateur or whether you're a seasoned mechanic. We try to have a little bit of something for everybody. So we do simple stuff. We try to have a good mix of budget builds and then sort of not so budget builds. But those are the ones that I think we enjoy to do a lot, and guys enjoy watching.
Yeah, well, speaking of enjoying watching, I know clearly my favorite, and I've said this well before I even knew the show existed, was that regular cab short bed is my all-time favorite setup. Like that is the ultimate build. Now, we got to do a ride-along here with a 1,200 horsepower LB7 twin turbo regular cab short bed, two-wheel drive. But you guys did one your own. Like, I drove one that somebody else built and we tuned and helped spec, but you guys actually did one on the show, Supermax. Can you give our listeners kind of a rundown of what that project looked like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that for me, that was kind of my pet project because, like you, I've always had a thing for the single cab short box truck. In fact, my C10, my very first truck, was an orange single cab short box truck. So you can kind of see the similarity there. So what we did, we found a high mileage, kind of rusty single cab long box in West Tennessee, LB7, 5-speed Allison 4-wheel drive. The typical truck you can find is a work truck, kind of ragged out. And we considered what to do with it. And like I said, for me, it was always, let's build something that you can't buy. GM never made it. And I'm always one for doing something that's a little bit off the beaten path. Now, that's not the most original idea in the world, I'll give you, but it's something that's really cool. So basically what we did, and it's kind of cool how this works, we took the factory frame, and on the 01 to 10 2500 HDs, basically from the cab back is 100% the same regardless of whether you have a single cab, extended cab, or crew cab. So what I mean from that is if you have an extended cab short box, it's the same as a crew cab short box. So we took advantage of that, and it turns out you can, because the frames have a little, I think they call it like a factory double overlap, there's a seam in the frame. So we took advantage of that, and you can actually cut down a long bed frame, dissect it, and put it back together using that same double overlap, and the frame will be exactly the same way that, say, a crew cab short bed would be, even though you started with a single cab long box frame. And it's kind of cool how stuff lines up, actually, because we bought a spring hanger from a extended or a crew cab short box truck, and there's even one of the factory rivet holes that actually still lines up. So anyway, I'm kind of getting a little bit into the technical side of it, but basically, so we took a factory truck, took 14 inches out of the frame, I think it's something like 5 inches off the back, welded it back together, used factory hangers, and when we're done with it, factory short bed, it looks exactly the same as if you're looking underneath a crew cab short bed, and it's all factory. And so, it's just making our version of a sport truck if GM would have done it. And so that's the chassis side of things. From there, we wanted to make it a little bit sporty as well. Painted it orange, put some charcoal stripes on it, color matched the front end. On the performance side of things, stock long block LB7 we went through, had a S366 on it, lift pump, of course all the, intercooler, 3-inch piping everywhere. We kind of had everything powder coated, with bright orange. I forget the name of the color, but just to kind of give it that pop under the hood. Built 5-speed Allison underneath it. Put down 550 horse, I think, 960 pounds torque maybe. It's just a fun truck. We did the suspension stuff, with upgraded tie rods, center ring, all the stuff that diesel guys do.
Right.
And,
it is a very complete build.
Sorry?
I was just going to say, it is a very complete build. The entire list is actually on your guys' episodes on PowerNation.com. So you could see every part you guys put in it, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and we kind of do that just so, if viewers, watching this, and man, I want to try that, we put those things out there so people can kind of take a look at it. And if they wanted to try it on their own, that's at the end of the day, that's what my job is to do, is to, get people out in the shop, in the garage, and try to do some of these things.
Absolutely. Well, you guys killed it with the truck. Did you get some quarter-mile times, some trap times for that?
We went not a quarter mile. We took it to the 8th mile, and of course, that's the one thing you asked. Off the top of my head, I believe we were low 8s, like 8:15, 8:18-ish in the 8th mile. I think 78 miles an hour. We had half a day at the track, and I was having a little trouble getting it to launch just right without making the front end hop all over the place. But in 550 horsepower, probably had a little bit more in it. If we had a little more time to perfect it, but really the goal wasn't to make the ultimate drag vehicle. We would have done things a lot differently, a different wheel and tire, change the suspension a little bit. But just, it was more of, look what you can do without a whole lot of effort. Because at the end of the day, it was a fairly simple recipe. I mean, we got a stock engine, bigger turbo, some good tuning on there, a couple of suspension parts, and a 100% complete truck that you can drive to get groceries and has air conditioning and all that other stuff.
That's so cool. It really is an awesome build. And I know we kind of breezed over some of the body to this, but like total rehaul on the body. It looks amazing. I'm not a big fan of like really bright colored trucks. I do like a more kind of understated look in general, but you guys nailed it on this one, man. It looks just phenomenal. It grabs your attention right away. And there was no question of whether or not it was a diesel. It was really clear on that. So I thought that was really cool. Now, I know you guys have done a couple other diesel projects in the past, quite a few actually, but there's another one coming up that you and I were talking about. Can we broach that build? Can we talk about that yet?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. So after, coming off of Project Supermax, that was sort of the smallest we could do, single cab short block. So sort of my goal over the next couple seasons was to build, one of each, Ford, Chevy, Dodge. So this year we're working on a Cummins. We picked up a 16 Ram crew cab dually. So already you can kind of tell that's completely the opposite end of the spectrum. And so what probably viewers have seen so far, we've done sort of the basics that I always like to build stuff in stages because that's kind of how guys do it at home. So, we put the programmer on it. We did a cold air intake. We upgraded the intercooler, keeping everything emissions friendly, and, we gained another 100 horse out of it. From there, and from at that point, the whole truck was basically stock from the outside as well. Now what we're going to do, the plan is kind of to combine what I would call a bro truck or a SEMA truck, bigger lift, big wheels, kind of call it a loud presence. Combine that with some of the high-performance stuff that a lot of guys do. So right now, actually, like what we're doing this week and stuff, we're working on some of the performance side of things. It's got a second-gen swap, S467 we're running. We have a goal of somewhere around 800 horse. It's going to have a built trans in it, twin injection pumps, bigger lift pump. Again, we probably won't get to the long block for a little while, but I know the 6.7s, they have a pretty big, a lot of headroom in terms of how much power they can hold from the factory. We're going to studs, valve springs, bigger injectors, of course, turbo and, injection pump and lift pump. So again, 800 horsepower goal, and then, that takes care of the power. From there, it's going to have some big 22s on it, maybe 37s. Of course, all the suspension is going to be powder coated. All the engine parts are going to be powder coated. It just kind of make I call it a bro truck race truck. Just kind of totally opposite end of the spectrum, I guess.
I love it, man. I'm really excited for this project because I do think it is one of the cool ones. It also probably, again, is not like one I would have went and spec'd out because I'm not into like the lifts and things like that. But I do think that they're awesome. Like I think that there's a huge draw in the marketplace for guys who do want to take their trucks and lift them and want to look further into them. And what I thought was really cool is out of the episodes published, I've seen a lot of guys talk about lifts. And usually what they do is they have the products laid out on the table and they talk about the products and they say, all right, and now we're going to put this thing in. And then there's like a fast forward segment of them like wrenching on the truck. Whereas you guys took a lot more time to kind of break down what are these components, how are they going to impact you, what's, how do you do this? And I thought that was really kind of cool. Do you guys, are you guys going to go into the same level as you get into the turbo and other components of the truck and really kind of show that real in-depth background of like how to in it?
Oh, absolutely. That's sort of the basis of our whole show is, I watch all the car shows out there. I'm an enthusiast, so I watch the YouTube guys. I watch the network TV guys, and I know exactly what you're talking about because it's like, here's some cool parts, bam, we bolted them on. And that's one of the things that we try not to do. We try to show step by step, almost to the level of an instruction manual, what it takes to install these parts, but not just how do you install it, but, it's the logic behind it. It's, okay, what will your stock turbo do? What's the limit of a stock turbo? Okay, so we need a bigger one. Why do we need a bigger one? How is that going to affect drivability and spool up and exhaust temperature? Why are we switching to a different style exhaust manifold? Why do we need bigger fuel injectors? Why do we need more, why do we need a bigger lift pump? Why do we need a second injection pump? And what does that do to the rest of the build? And even something as simple as, putting a larger tire on, what impact is that going to have with the rest of the truck, the rest of the build? So absolutely, when we're doing this, we're going to treat it exactly like everything else we do, and we're going to try to show viewers at home, number one, what it takes to build a truck, if that's your goal, if you have a goal of a 7 or 8 or 900 horsepower truck, we're going to show you what it takes to do that, but also, kind of dive into the science a little bit and, why. That's kind of what we try to answer is why. And for me anyway, if you can explain to somebody why you need a particular part rather than just the fact that you need a certain size turbo, it helps people understand better and helps them make a better educated decision. Okay, do I want to go with a second-gen swap? Do I want to run, an S400, or would I be better suited for a VGT turbo? Stuff like that.
Absolutely. No, I think it's really cool. And I as I watch the show, I often think about kind of that same comparison of like you to the other car shows and stuff that I watch. And as we've started to have some more celebrities like yourself and the guys from Diesel Brothers and some other guys on the show, I was wondering if we could take some time to kind of talk about how the show comes together. Because obviously what we see is this really well-polished project that's very well organized and very well executed. Is a lot of the show scripted, or is a lot of this like you have some bullet points and they tell you just to talk? Like, how do you start to put an episode together?
It's kind of a combination of both, I guess you could say. So we start out our season, basically, Jeremy and myself, the two hosts, will go through and say, all right, what are we going to build this year? And so we'll think about, what we haven't done in a while, what we think would be cool. Once we have that narrowed down, we get the vehicles purchased, then it's time to start working. We'll map out, the order of things, what makes sense, what we want to show. It's sort of once we have that planned out, we'll tackle things on an episode-by-episode basis. We, as hosts of the show, Jerry and I, we pretty much we write everything that we're going to talk about. It's not a scripted show in the sense that, somebody walks in and here's a script and, you get to say exactly what's on this piece of paper. It's totally up to us to deliver the message, of whatever we're trying to talk about. And like any of these shows, we work with, clients who want to show off parts, and we'll try to make sure that we get the message across that they want, us to talk about. But at the same time, it's our own words, and usually we're the ones that, if we want to install a particular product, that's why we're getting. It's not like, a network or somebody comes to us and says, here, you have to install this, whatever. We'll write the show, we'll figure out what we want to say, we'll take it, we'll go through, install the parts, film everything. That's just kind of a process. If you haven't ever been around, filming something, it's especially on a technical level like we do, it's a very slow process compared to, working in a regular shop. If it takes you an hour to do a brake job, it might take us 5 hours to film doing a brake job. But that's just part of the gig.
Hey, one more take on that. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because we get a lot of, oh man, can you take that off and do it again? Because, the way they sequence the shots together, and it's just all part of it, Dan. But, you got to do what you got to do.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, I definitely thank you so much for coming on the show. Couple of things here to wrap up. Number one, was there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to cover today?
I think we pretty well nailed it. I'm just a guy who's lucky enough to be in a position where I can, have access to some cool projects with some cool tools and build some cool trucks. So just thank all of our viewers, and if your listeners haven't heard of the show, I'd encourage them to check us out. Probably the easiest way, PowerNationTV.com. Check out our website. And we're not just diesel. I'm a diesel enthusiast myself, so I try to do that as much as I can. But we try to do something for everybody. I mean, this season, for example, we went from a 1930 Model A Ford Street Rod pickup that we're building. We've got a K5 Blazer, the Ram, and everything in between. So just if you guys are into that kind of stuff, check it out.
I'll tell you right now, it's an audio podcast and nobody can see me. I'm in a studio by myself, but I am smiling from ear to ear because every one of the projects you just listed, I've been watching, and they're all fucking awesome. Like, seriously, guys, go straight from your phone, because I know you guys are listening to this on your phone. Go search PowerNationTV.com. You can also just search Truck Tech or Truck Tech Supermax. That's how I found it earlier today. So it's well worth the watch. LT's a great host on it. I think you guys will be really entertained. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving our listeners some of your time. I know I'll be following along with the project, and I think we'll probably circle back and have you on again in the future.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan. And hey, thank you, Paul, for having me on.
No problem. Listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's show. Make sure you go back, listen to some of the previous episodes. We recently had Diesel Dave and Heavy D from Diesel Brothers on. We had on Tyler Franzen, the star of our LBZ project build over at Duramax Tuner. Those videos are live on Facebook, and as always, like, share, rate, review. Do all that good stuff that the managers yell at me about. For today, this has been Paul Wilson. Thanks for listening.
The Diesel Performance Podcast is brought to you by Calibrated Power Solutions, home of DuramaxTuner.com. Calibrated Power develops emissions-equipped calibrations for a wide variety of diesel powertrains, including Duramax, Cummins, Power Stroke, John Deere, Case, New Holland, and many more. For more information and the best customer service in the industry, check out calibratedpower.com or call 815-568-7920. That's 815-568-7920. If you'd like to contact the podcast, send us a message through Facebook or email Paul at DuramaxTuner.com or Chris at CEHMKE@DuramaxTuner.com. Hey, thanks for listening. Your feedback is appreciated. Please rate and review us on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and by all means, let us know if you have any ideas for a podcast. We'd love to hear from you.
Everybody wants a Camaro or a Mustang, but up there, for a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, I actually bought my first truck when I was 12 years old. For a young kid like that, you can't afford a Camaro because, all the good ones are incredibly expensive. So the next best thing was pickup trucks. So the first vehicle I bought, 76 C10,